Welcome to the Distorted Realities audiocast. Here are your hosts Jay Rock, Frank Walls, and Mr. Valentine.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Distorted Realities audiocast. I'm here with Mr. Valentine.
Greetings and salutations, friends. It's Mr. Valentine. How's it going?
It's going well. Frank is running a little late. This is due to severe weather in Florida. There was a storm,
Still
and
is.
all the cars are in a standstill at the moment.
Mhm.
But he should be on his way. We did
Soon.
receive notification from him. However, for those of you who are new to us, my name is J Rock. We have Frank Walls and Mr. Valentine, who are part of the Distorted Realities group. And essentially, this is our audio podcast. We finished season 1 and 2 of the Distorted Realities Sunday show. And new things are coming along in October 31st, Halloween.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, can't wait as well. And, you know, we sit here, we talk about conspiracy theories, myths, legends,
Anything creepy, anything paranormal, anything under the umbrella term of horror.
Right. So we do this from a different perspective, right? We do the research, we present it as we get it, and it's for you to decide what your truth is. Some of it is factual, some of it is not. Makes for great discussion pieces.
Yeah, of course, all the time.
And we encourage you to participate and call us. And if you're a fan of Distorted Realities, go to www.youtube.com/@distortedrealities and make sure to like and subscribe. Click on the bell notification
Helps
icon.
us out a big ton if you do that. Thank you, guys.
Yes. And of course, if you want to call in while we're on the show, you can dial 904-803-7327. Again, this is an audio cast, so you won't be seeing us in video. You'll see an AI video we prepared for you. It will repeat and play some very light background music. And essentially, conspiracy. So let's start off here. 1 second. Let me just fix this.
There's no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe.
Or
whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
there you have it, folks. Today's episode, we're covering 3 conspiracy theories, right? The first one, moon landing hoax.
Moon landing, one of the most iconic, to be honest.
Yes.
Very iconic conspiracy.
Talked about a lot.
By
a lot of major players. I was looking at it from the Joe Rogan podcasts to some of the ODD TV. There's a lot of great stuff on this, right? And then of course we have the Black Knight satellite, which is a very odd anomaly that's roaming throughout the Earth's atmosphere.
I never heard of this, so this is going to be a first for me.
And of course, the
Dyatlov Pass incident.
Right.
Very interesting story to look into. And it's filled with a lot of mystery. I do believe most of it is confusing, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So the 3 great tales.
Yeah.
All with their own special quirk,
their own questionable factor.
Yes.
That's what I like to call it, a questionable factor, because there's always something questionable about it, and you don't know until you hear about it.
So before we begin, I want to dedicate this episode to my sister and artist Coral, who her birthday's today. So
happy birthday, Coral.
Sister. I love you very, very much. You are truly an inspiration, and your art speaks to me so much. And I wish you many, many more. Super proud of you. That continued success, continued growth, prosperity.
Yep.
Basis. So I'm gonna go into the Distorted Realities channel. This is typically Frank's job, but he's running late. And let's see. Okay, so we're on, and I can see everything, so that's good. Oh, Max Meeks, Origins Audio Camera Shy. No, not today. We've actually got a new camera. We're getting ready to film a lot of new stuff. So we have a something inspired from Tales from the Dark Side, which is called Mr. Grimm's Terrifying Tales. The series has been officially copywritten, filming permits acquired, insurance and all that stuff.
A Distorted Realities
Original.
exclusive.
Original, right? Then we have the Return of the Demons that we're progressing with, and then we have the show. And Mr. Valentine is gonna have his own show called
Yeah, I know, crazy.
Mr. Valentine's Freakishly Frightening Facts, where instead of giving 5, we'll give 1, but we'll go into great length and detail.
Yeah, this one's gonna take a lot of research, so it's gonna be a little longer, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I think you guys might enjoy it. We'll give you more of that when the time is here and ready.
Right. So, yeah. So we'll be doing that. By the way, we are recording video footage on our new cameras. We'll just add it as supplemental behind the scenes stuff. We got new lights, a little bit more dimmer, colorful configuration to match our aesthetic. And we
Very lovely lighting.
For those of you who don't know, we are looking for a piece of land we can call Distorted Realities home.
The HQ, the headquarters.
And we're looking to grow this, and a lot of it comes from support. So thank you guys for your love and support. And yeah, more good news to come. So the moon. Why does it intrigue us, right?
Yeah.
It's something to look at, something to behold every night, especially when you could see it in all its glory, right?
It's multiple phases, but then that one particular moment where it's like you could see it in its entire beauty.
So here's a fun fact. You always see the moon in the same face, right? So they have this thing called the dark side of the moon, and essentially, supposedly, there's a alien.
Ah, yes, hiding on the other side.
Right, hiding on the other side. It's like the civilization of aliens or race of aliens.
If Mario Odyssey told me one thing, the dark side of the moon holds a whole bunch of mini moons, okay?
So we also have another theory about the moon, that the moon is kind of like a Death Star. It was constructed. It's not what people think. I don't know how believable that is. Right?
It's a fun thought.
It's an artificial planet that's made by some.
On the inside, you see it's like an entire little living quarters. Oh.
So by the way, I think Frank is on his way. In, so you might hear the
Hellhound.
The Hellhound Rambo joining us for a few seconds. So yeah.
Oh, yep, I think he's here.
Is he here?
I'm gonna go check.
All right, we're gonna
carry on, J-Rock.
He's gonna pause for a second. I am going to check and see. Oh, there he goes. Come on in, Frank. Yeah, I notified the folks. All right, so see, we prepped up the coffee for you and everything. So Max Meeks said, "Why are we camera shy today?" So, all right, so here we are. We're talking about the moon. Why it intrigues us. Wait.
Frank the Tank Walls has made it, folks.
Thank you.
There you go.
Sorry for the delay. There was like a big storm, and it was insane. I made it.
All right, so with that, let's start, right? The time period, to be very exact, is July 20th, 1969. Right.
Nice.
And we all know this very famous phrase, and I'm going to play it for you so that you can remember it in better detail.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Very iconic lines.
Very iconic lines said by one Neil Armstrong, right? And these three individuals that went on the Apollo 11 moon landing mission were Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, right? They first laid foot on the moon on July 20th, 1969. They used the Eagle Lunar Landing Module.
Eagle
Right.
Lunar Landing, the ELL,
Yeah,
the ELLM.
So they landed in this area very unique in the moon. It's called the Sea of Tranquility.
I like the way that sounds.
Right,
It sounds very
uh,
peaceful.
It is.
Sounds like the opposite of the dark side of the moon.
Yeah. So why was this happening, right? So to give you guys context, during that period, you had a lot of things happening. You had Vietnam. You had
The Vietnam War.
you had the Vietnam War. You had the Russian space race.
Oh yeah,
Right. You had spies.
the
Um,
Sputnik.
Right. So but Sputnik happened before that,
Before,
right?
yeah.
So, and it's good because it makes for a great discussion to the next item, which is your piece, the Black Knight satellite. But the motivation was to win the space race, for NASA to garner government funding, and it was a distraction from the Vietnam War,
Gotcha.
right? So whenever there's too much movement happening that can disrupt population, what ends up happening is that distractions are created,
Oh yeah.
right? So why is this interesting? On that time period, this was something that was unbelievable, right? People could not believe that a group of people assembled to create this rocket. By the way, rockets, the V2 rockets or the rockets that are used for propulsion to send space shuttles to space, those are called V2 rocket engines.
Those
right?
were made by the Germans, right?
No, it was made by a specific German. His name is Werner von Braun.
Sounds
Right?
so cool. That's such a
Believe
cool
it or not, he
name.
was a Nazi.
Oh, never mind.
Who? No. So here's the funny part. He was a Nazi and became a U.S. Government
Official?
Official with.
He's the founder of NASA, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say the founder of NASA, but he's the founder of the rockets.
Right.
I mean, he was the mastermind behind it.
Advanced
but,
technology.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's not. I'm not going out of topic with this. You know the Gundams.
Yeah.
They refer on the engines, the verniers.
The verniers,
The
right?
verniers. Yeah.
So this is all in homage to Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and there was so much more he was part of. For example, the Wonder Bell, Der Glocken.
That
Yeah.
dude
Right?
blocking.
He knew about these secrets, right? And
Yeah.
he became a master propulsion expert. So people are sitting down watching this on their little television boxes, and you're hearing NASA Control Center talking to these individuals, which started raising questions as technology progressed, right?
Gotcha.
So let's start with the first one, right? Because I think that's the most important one. When the rocket landed, right? Who was recording them if Neil Armstrong was the first person to land on them?
That is something that I always thought about.
I heard that Superman
it
hold his breath,
was
flew to the moon.
it was
and-
Frank Walls.
and had a GoPro with.
Well, that's what it was.
No, it was Frank the Tank Walls. I don't know how else to tell you guys. Frank was the one recording.
Yeah, right.
So,
I was not even born for that time.
so then the question became, well, this is obviously being filmed. You can see that there were no track marks of footprints for him to place a camera and come back and say, "Okay, I'm recording now." Right? That's number one.
Were satellites even like a thing? Like
Yes. So during that time period, we already had launched
or
several.
like the rovers, like the little
No, so
No.
they did no. Actually, they did have these later on
The
these
boogie.
buggies,
The boogie.
right? That would I guess go through the lunar surface, right? But it it just made for an interesting case because in movies, when we film, there's something called the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And we don't, whenever you're recording a movie, you never see the fourth wall.
It's like a rule for most movies to
For
not
all
break it.
movies, unless it's intentional.
Unless
right?
it's Deadpool. Deadpool does it.
I mean, it's intentional,
Yeah.
right? But for standard practice,
No,
you don't break
never
through the
break
fourth
it.
wall, right? And then why was the flag moving?
There's no air.
If there's no
wind,
air,
right?
you live in the vacuum of space. That's why it's called the vacuum of space. And there's no atmosphere in the moon. Then what would make you believe that this flag is waving as if there was wind blowing?
But they did use like a different type of flag, right? Like it was not like it was like a or something. I don't know.
I don't know what the material was made of, but you could tell that they had like a rod was extending out on the width side of it to hold the flag in place.
Yeah.
Right. That's weird.
So for me, I don't know if after as I got older, I don't know if I could believe it anymore, right? My third thing was lack of visibility of stars.
Yeah, no, it was pitch black, was it not?
So there's something unique about planet Earth. Planet Earth has clouds. It has an atmosphere that sometimes prevents you from seeing things, right? There's a logical explanation there, right? But on a clear day, we can see stars.
100%.
We can see the moon.
Mm-hmm.
We can see the sun during the day. We get sunlight. We know that there is a sun. However, when you're in the moon,
The moon has no atmosphere, so what is there
there has
hiding?
no atmosphere, there's no star, and there's no sun. Now understand that we have this layer that protects us from the sun's rays.
The UV.
The UV ozone.
Yeah,
Ozone layer.
there's different layers. There's the toposphere, the hemisphere, the stratosphere. They have like different things, and each one has a different.
The one we're talking
purpose.
about, the one we're mainly,
And-
like the only layer we know about that we really talked about was ozone.
And the dome.
Right. So no, but that's.
That-
But I mean, no, it raises a question, right?
yeah.
Because if you can't see the sun from the moon, and then it asks the other question. Now that you want to go to that flat Earth approach, right? They never did a 360 shot,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes back to that one thing: the fourth wall.
Fourth wall.
They couldn't do a 360 shot because if they did, they would break the fourth wall.
Because you see cast and crew running around rampant.
Coming soon, the fourth wall with Frank Walls.
Movie
So-
of the year, movie of the summer,
so-
even.
So it's when you go into that whole flat Earth theory, right? We live in an enclosed systems. The sun and the moon are luminaries, not necessarily this giant ball of heated gas, right?
Of light.
And it's moving in a spherical pattern, on an even spherical pattern. That's why you have the 24-hour cycle, right? 12 for day, 12 for night. And then as you get to the summer, the sun gets closer to the equator, producing more heat in the tropical areas, right? They call that the Tropic
Florida.
of Capricorn,
Tropical,
right? And then it leaves that center, and then it gets colder in those areas, right? And then it also reduces the amount of daylight time due to the distance or proximity from the center of the Earth if it was flat. That makes rational sense, right?
Yeah, that's an explanation scientifically proven, is it not? Unless there's a certain part of it that isn't.
It's a lot better than believing that we're moving at 10,000 miles an hour and we're
If we
rotating amongst a whole bunch of planets and we're flying away from space with all those things circulating. But then becomes another question: astronomy, right?
the stars don't change, and
The
we
stars never
supposedly
change.
like we're kind of falling, right? Something like that, like moving.
We're moving away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means because if you're in the vastness of space,
There is no way. Where are we going towards? The nearest black hole, the nearest solar system?
There's
Yeah.
no. We're in a whole galaxy, Milky Way, right? The Milky Way galaxy.
Yes,
we are?
I believe so.
so yeah. So
I don't know.
then that led to this very interesting case. There's a director named Stanley Kubrick, right?
Oh yeah.
He did The Shining, A Clockwork Orange. He gave masterpieces. He gave master classes in movies.
Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey was his movie. The rumor is that Stanley Kubrick orchestrated the whole thing, and there is a video on YouTube where he talks and makes his confession about it. Don't know if it's real or not. However, this guy was, at the time, he was it.
A genius.
I saw a video of him before. I think he died, right? He
He died. Right?
Before he died, there was a video of him somewhere. I saw some
Yeah, it's on YouTube. He made a confession that he was the one that did the moon landing videos.
that the government contracted him to make the
Right.
movie. There was also a movie that somebody made about debunking everything. Like a documentary, like
Right.
saying that it was false, and also Buzz Aldrin. There's a lot of videos of him like they were he's being asked by other people like, did we went to the moon? And he said like it never happened.
Well, he said that on record.
Yeah.
That is on record.
He said it on
Yikes.
record. Like it never happened.
And there was another guy that confronted some astronauts with the Bible. It
Right.
was like if you went to the moon, put your hand on the Bible and
And
swear
it.
that you
Landed on the moon.
landed, and they didn't want he punched the guy.
Wow.
He punched the guy. I was like, why would if it's true, why you don't just put your hand there and say, yeah, we went.
Yeah.
You're gonna be struck down automatically.
So
God smite
so
thee.
here's the sad part about it all, right? When you get older, right? When you're young, your naivety lets you to believe that Star Wars and Star Trek and all these things are possible. If this hoax is real,
It kind of just shuts it down.
it destroys the very fabric, I
What-
think, of what Americans as a whole believed in all this time.
I think it's gonna destroy any space related. I mean, I think it would. I think it would both destroy and re-renovate, because then it's like maybe there's something more we can talk about. Maybe there's truly unknown on the moon.
So let's get really serious.
Let me say something before.
Yeah.
Let's say that's true. Let's say that is true. We never went there. We have never left Earth. Just low orbit. That's it. Let's say it's true. Then that means that we have a big imagination, because the majority of the sci-fi genre, right,
It's based on
is
that.
based
It's
on
built on it.
space, is based on the laws of physics of space that were created. If we never been there, there's some laws. Think about this. There's some laws of physics that we follow, but if we never been there, you know what I mean? It's like
Right.
so they have created a whole movement, a whole science, a whole stuff. And if we never been there, where all that came from?
Yeah.
It's like
Right. So
it's crazy.
So let me tell you, it's more interesting to know that right now I'm holding on to a cell phone. And on record, it was stated by a physicist and an employee of NASA. It said that they cannot go back to the moon
Yeah.
because they lost the technology. Now that kind of is a counterintuitive point, right? Because here's my problem. The rockets of that time did not have the technology, not even 10 times less than what we have. This cell phone here can outperform
Any computer from the
any
80s.
from
or
the
90s,
80s,
70s.
almost
Yeah.
100x or 1000x. So the question now is, did you ever really go? Because if that's your excuse, I'm not buying it.
If that were the case, if we really had the technology, we'd be going to the moon and back like 30 times over by then.
Right. Which led to the whole, what was the recent thing? Katy Perry.
Oh,
and all
Katy
these-
Perry and a bunch of
That was fake. That was
Yeah.
completely fake.
You saw what Jeff Bezos did?
what did he do? What
Well,
did Jeff Bezos do
so
this
he,
time?
The
he,
door.
he opened the door when the supposedly the unit landed. He opened the door and they closed it back because he wasn't supposed to. So he busted his ass on top of that.
First of all, if that's the first thing, he cannot touch it. Supposed to be hot,
It's
right?
supposed to be literally
To
like,
re-entry, right?
yeah, because when you're landing,
Exactly. So according to the science that we know in movies and science fiction and real too, it's supposed to be hot on re-entry. And the door need to open the other way around, not the way he opened it, from the inside to the outside, right? Not to the outside to the inside, because the pressure is coming from the outside to the inside. So if you have a door that opens like that, it's gonna pop up open one. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. So, and you never saw anything that would indicate that the module that they landed on itself experienced any heat or any, you know, like it's not as described in the traditional sense of these things. You know, it's leaving the hemisphere and, you know, your skin will melt.
And it was full of glass too. It was glass everywhere. Glass. It's like, really? How thick does that glass? You know?
So
I don't know.
glass blessed by the Holy Father.
There you go.
but there's a belt. And that belt is called the Van Allen belt.
I heard it's very radioactive.
It's super radioactive. And again, I've heard this from Bill Nye the Science Guy.
There you go.
My goat.
You know,
My
our
science teacher.
I call him our TV scientist, right?
He's my science
He
teacher.
said you cannot go to the Van Allen's belt. It's impossible.
It's impossible. The
Right?
radiation will kill you.
And he said, we live in an enclosed system, and I quote, you cannot go past that. So yeah, so those are my thoughts. So what do I believe? Okay, I believe that the moon is visible, it's real.
It's there.
I believe that it serves its purpose for many reasons. It controls tides. It's a good predictor of time,
Of everything.
right? It's the true predictor of time, by the way.
Yeah, and the waves, the sea.
Right. So the moon has, for example, menstruation comes from the word menses, the lunar cycle, right? The traditional lunar cycle is only 28 days, right? The original calendar was 13 months at 28 days, right? And the months were removed, but it was all driven by this lunar cycle.
Mhm.
Right. So there is a very significant importance with the moon. How far deep it goes, that's up to you and how you research it. I just don't think that we went there. The other freaky part is that lately there's been theories about whenever you look at the face of the moon, what you're looking at is the reflection of all the continents that exist within Earth.
Mm.
I heard that. Yeah.
And the guy draws it and he goes, look, this is Africa, this is the United States, North America, this
Those
is
are
South
not the
America.
craters in the moon. Those are
No, so you have craters, of course,
Yeah.
but the darker gray shaded areas actually is a reflection of the continent.
I saw a guy saying that that you cannot land in the moon because the moon is translucent. You know, like during the day, early in the morning, sometimes you have the sun coming out, but you still have the moon there.
yeah.
And it really looks like translucent.
Oh no, so I posted a video on TikTok many months ago when we first started the show, right, season 1. And I was literally standing in front of my house in the morning and I could see the moon in its entirety on one side, and when I looked to my right, the sun is there.
You see?
And I was like, wait a minute. It's weird.
It is.
Like,
That's trippy.
you're never supposed to see that because of the distance, right?
Exactly.
The other thing is day-night cycle. If it's daytime, why are you seeing the moon? Oh, it's the reflection. The sun is reflecting it. There's no way. You know, I don't buy that one bit.
See where the moon and the sun stand. Like the order of the planet.
And the other thing
Well,
is,
the moon is not the moon is not necessarily part of the planets. It is part of Earth's planet. It rotates around the Earth. It doesn't rotate around anything else.
supposedly the moon doesn't have a light. So the light that we see is the sun, the sunlight reflecting on the moon. That's what I've heard. Right? But then you got these flat earth people that they have measured the temperature of the moon with lasers and stuff like that, and apparently it's not like that. The moon has their own light. I don't know.
Well, always bear in mind that there is something that we don't talk about because it has to do with religion, but I'll just start it off in the beginning.
Mhm.
In the beginning.
Right.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
So in the beginning,
Beginning.
right? They were talking about Genesis.
Yeah.
And in Genesis, he created the light for the day and the light for the night,
Mhm.
right? So I don't think that this is a reflection of this is a true luminary. At least that's my belief.
Mhm.
Now, going back to brass tacks, I'm going to say, as much as I want to believe they did, I'm going to say I don't buy it one bit.
I don't buy one bit either. Frank, what do you think?
I don't. It's,
My heart says yes, we were there. But now that I know, not wait, you know what?
Space may be the final
There you go.
frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
I think that's the truth.
You know what's funny is that when the president got the call, right? There was no delay, right? And you just called me before I came to the show, and we were kind of close, and I'm not in the moon, and the conversation cut off. There was no signal where I was. You know what I mean? But this guy in the moon is talking through a landline phone to the astronaut. Hey, how's the weather in the moon,
Is
man?
that they put T-Mobile on the Sputnik.
They have
Right?
5G.
So no, but think about it. You get on planes. What's the first thing they tell you to do with your phone?
Airplane mode.
Right? You can't use your phone. There's no signal when you turn it on. If you leave it on, right?
Mhm.
Mind you, this is what 10,000 feet. It's not 3,000, 20,000, 9,000
We're not.
miles.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So yeah, I don't buy it.
But I also have seen videos from these aficionados that have like really good telescopes.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's CGI or what, but I've seen it live. Like I've seen a TikTok live. There's a guy that do it on TikTok. He's live with his phone on a telescope, and you can see like I would say like little like a spaceship
Yeah.
coming in and out from those craters
Craters.
from the moon, and
Yeah, you
I've
missed
seen on
it.
TikTok like live. It's live. It's not
So
like
here's what I think.
I don't know.
Here's what I think, and it's gonna mess up our heads. If you could tell a vision,
Mhm.
you could tell a lie. And television does its best thing in the world. It informs us indirectly. We just don't know it.
Yeah,
The Maze Runner. What is the Maze Runner?
that was the movie, right?
A book series.
No, but well, duh.
Book series.
But what is it?
It's a maze.
No, you got to think beyond that. It's a group of people
They were
trying
in-
to they're
in
trying to
trap.
escape an enclosed system to only end up in another enclosed
Enclosed, yeah.
system.
Yeah,
What is Game of Thrones?
same thing, right?
No battle between. Isn't it a battle between?
What is the wall?
Oh my God! Isn't
What is actually going from the wall? What is actually coming? The White Walkers.
The White
Yeah.
Walkers.
Right? So you have this.
You have to be the White Walker.
So you have to look at this. Even the intro kind of shows you it. There's this economic thing happening and political thing happening. People are vying in contention for dominance,
But the what?
but the White Walkers are coming, right? And there's this wall that separates the two. What lies beyond that? Right? Dark City. You remember that movie, Dark City?
Never seen Dark City. I'm too
You
young for
need
that.
to watch it.
What is it?
It's about an enclosed system. And when he leaves the enclosed system, where does he go? To the system that we're all in.
The Matrix.
Oh, The Matrix. Yeah, I know about
There's
The
no
Matrix.
turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe.
So that's what I'm saying. There's different, like these movies don't tell you directly because they probably can't, but they try to tell the smart ones, hey, look, there's a little blip, right?
Pay attention
Right?
and you get rewarded.
There's a gentleman by the name of Nos Confunden. He wrote a book. I think it's there. It's called Terra Infinita.
Gotcha.
Right? And it's right next to Max Meek's American Exile trilogy. Awesome read. Yes. So my point is that these movies tell you something,
Mhm.
right? And now I want to go into your imagination piece.
Mm-hmm.
What if everything that we imagine is kind of like hard coded into our DNA because it existed just not here, it existed in another enclosed system?
Or maybe,
Kind of like panspermia.
Yeah.
Like because the story of Terra Infinita is about a person who came from outside
yeah,
of the dome, from their dome went to our
Our
dome,
dome.
right? So it's fucking awesome. And it's more believable to me,
Mhm.
right? Because it doesn't require vast technology, it requires grit and the ability to get beyond that.
Beyond the
I
wall.
was watching a long time ago. This is what year is this?
Beautiful. Hold on, before you
Yeah,
continue.
yeah.
So Coral says, even Attack on Titan
I was about to
stay
mention
inside
that.
the walls of
Yeah,
Maria.
there
I was
you
about to
go.
say
Because
that
the
too.
giants are gonna eat them.
Uh-huh.
So you have these little nuances, and it just works so well because it makes you think. You know, like you look at Harry Potter. You these amazing. That's my little boy.
Isaiah.
He goes Harry Potter, right? But they talk about griffins and dragons and dinosaurs and things that we've
And
never
the
seen,
Dementors.
right? But what if these species did exist, just not here, and we just kind of imagined it because it's hard coded?
Maybe they are behind
Dude,
the ice
The,
wall.
yeah, the giant like area we can't go to. I think it's Antarctic. No.
So no, so Antarctica we cannot go to. But here's the funny part: there's a guy on record. His name is Admiral Richard Byrd, and he was part of this operation called Operation High Jump. And guess what he did? He explored beyond Antarctica. And what does he do? He goes on a show called The Longines Chronoscope. And he says, yeah, there's other continents bigger than ours, filled with resources. Stop looking to the north. Just go beyond the Arctic.
Mm-hmm.
What is he telling you?
Stuff beyond the wall.
If the world was truly a globe, he would just come around and end up in North America.
Yeah.
Supposedly they fight. That guy fight with a like a spaceship over there or something
So
like
for
that.
that he also wrote a book, or his son wrote a book that had to do with like the hollow earth theory,
Yeah.
right? But it all ties into this idea that the moon is a station, for all intents and purposes, is stationary within the confines of our structure, and it moves in a 360 format around our structure. And every other location has its own set of sun and moon to keep everyone within.
I was gonna talk about this. Had to do with the moon. This is a TV series from 2016, right? I remember watching this, and I couldn't stop watching it. I would be like awake. I used to work overnight. I would get home and I wouldn't go to sleep until like. The thing is, they never had. I think they never finished the TV series. It's only 3 seasons, and it talks about like the world change. They put people in enclosements, right? And the whole structure of the government changed. Everybody that was a police, military, they killed all of them. So now you have the rest of the people that doesn't know how to defend themselves, whatever. And there's these VIP, they call them the VIPs, and those are the one controlling everything. But what happened is that there was something in the moon that got destroyed, and this it was like an alien base in the moon, and they had something in the moon like a type of antenna or something that will make us not visible to other aliens.
It's
or
funny you
whatever.
say that because I used to play music, but I studied music, right? Like I actually know how to read a sheet of music. And you know, what's the concert pitch? 440. That's what we listen to. But in reality, when I was a kid, it wasn't 440, it was 432, I believe it was.
They've been changing the megahertz.
Right? But remember what Tesla said about 3, 6, and 9?
Mm-hmm.
Frequency matters. The frequency you in matters. You vibrate. Your body vibrates in a different range, and you perceive things differently when
Look at
you're
the
in
Flash.
range.
The Flash goes into that. Flash series, the comic, all that goes into
Mm-hmm.
vibration. I think I don't know if it's true, but if you vibrate fast enough, your molecules in your body get so excited
Yeah.
you can phase through
So
stuff.
like there's a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza has this really cool thing about like positive thinking, frequency. Greg Braden is another one. They talk about how your perception changes based on certain vibrations and certain frequencies. So it may be possible. But back to the moon. Here we got 2 yeses and a half.
Yep.
Frankie's at a half. So in other words, me and Dante agree that this is a hoax.
No,
Frank
no,
is-
no, no, no. I will say no. Let me clarify. Right. This is what I think. The whatever was televised, right? That's looks so fake. You know what I mean? That's completely staged. That's in a, completely staged.
Okay.
Even the Eagle modular landing, it looks like it has a, it's like made of a carton box or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, what you have to think is why they didn't show the real footage. Let's say they went, right? Let's say they went. Why did they show us a fake footage instead of the real thing? What is there that they don't want us to see? You know what I mean?
That still doesn't answer the question. You either believe it or you don't.
I think what we saw.
Is it a hoax? Is it a hoax or not? I want to know the truth, Frank.
Give me the
hoax. It's a hoax.
What's in the box, Frank? What's in the box?
You're supposed to do it like Tom Cruise. You can't handle
You
it.
can't handle the truth.
All right, so all right, so this is done. The moon hoax is a great talking piece, right?
Yeah.
But now we're gonna turn it over to Frank. Frank is gonna take the lead on this one, and he's gonna talk about the Black Knight satellite.
It sounds
So
cool.
floor is yours, Frank.
Wow, leader. Okay, what is the Dark Knight satellite? Okay, so imagine there is an artifact that is really, really, really old, and it's been just hovering in space for years and years and years, and apparently it's watching us. Could be a remnant of a alien species spacecraft. It could be a part of a I don't know, a civilization that was smarter than us, or older us that maybe tried to escape the planet, and they got trapped in the atmosphere, right? So that's the Dark Knight satellite. We still don't know what it is, but it's a conspiracy theory, right? And you can check this in Wikipedia, Google it. There's pictures of it. We still don't know what it is. Right there.
It looks like a Lego
It
piece.
looks like
It looks like a Lego piece.
And it says that the Black Knight satellite conspiracy theory claims that a spacecraft of extraterrestrial origin is near polar orbit of the Earth, and NASA is covering it up its existence and origin. This conspiracy theory combines several unrelated stories into a narrative. Wow. So according,
So let me jump in. So just so you know, it's still called the satellite, but what's the first satellite ever launched?
according to the Russians, the Sputnik was the first
So it was-
man-made satellite.
And it was launched on October 4th, 1957, right? It's the first man-made satellite, and its real purpose was to spy on the Russians.
And it was the size of a basketball ball, something like that.
Yeah.
It was small.
In 1899, Nicholas Tesla heard the first signals from space, right? And he reported it. This, right? Several years later, 1928, the newspapers reported this dark, and that's how he got the name Dark Knight satellite, right?
The floating Lego piece.
Apparently, Nikola Tesla find a way on binary codes to communicate with this satellite, and they were making contact, and that's how he ended up getting a lot of the technology that he, like all the experiments, like wireless energy and all the stuff that he was trying to create. So he was making contact with this through binary codes, like ones and zeros.
It reminds me of like a Death Star, sort of like the moon.
It looks scary when you think about it.
We can't
Supposedly
show.
is the size of a huge truck, those big trucks. But it's big. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not a
it's
small thing.
not
you
a-
know.
Not no.
So do you guys know how many supposedly how many pieces of equipment or satellites or just space garbage is floating
Yeah,
around?
there's a lot. I saw him.
I've actually never heard.
As of 2024, 10,000 known objects orbit the Earth.
Jesus.
This is about talking about the Dark Knight. Says according to some UFO conspiracies, the Black Knight is an artificial satellite of extraterrestrial origin, has orbited Earth approximately 13,000 years. The satellite story is most likely a conflation of several disconnected stories about various objects and their interpretations. All of them were documented independently and none using the name Black Knight upon their first publication, according to Senior Education Support Office Martin Redap, Planetarium, North Ireland. So, Ireland. Anyway, it says it's orbiting the polars.
So let me give you some more juicy information. In 1973, a person by the name of Duncan Lunan, right, used LDE data, which is the data that was gathered from the satellite, right? And it was retrieved from Norway, right? And this was 12,600 years ago, and it was an invitation from Epsilon Boots, which is a constellation.
Constellation, yeah.
Invitation.
An invitation to whoever was in the planet at the time.
Mhm.
So, who knows? It was
Maybe.
emitting a signal, projecting an invite.
So, what is the name of that constellation?
Epsilon Boots.
Salon boots.
And that's I don't know if I spelled it correctly, but it's Buttes. I thought it was butts at some point. Epsilon's butt.
Salon butts.
Maybe it's a joke in between aliens or something. I don't know.
No, it's Epsilon boots with how you spell boot, but it has a weird 2 dots above it.
Yes, Epsilon Boot is a binary star system in the northern constellation of Bootes. Its name is Bayer designation that is Latinized from E. I don't know. It's crazy. But it's here. It's on. If you search Wikipedia, we'll show you a map of the constellation and everything. So
Wow.
I guess there was a message, an encoded message in that Black Knight satellite. Crazy.
So yeah, so as far as the theories, like it's still a mystery, right? There is a ancient astronaut theory linked to this. They believe it's an older artifact that has been able to endure time, and it's there to leave us a message at a certain point.
It's probably spying on us or something.
Well, according to this, is the second theory, is that it's a lost casing from the Discoverer satellite, which is a spy program satellite. There's a piece of metal that was from an old
Spy contraption.
satellite. That
I read somewhere that it's not black. It's kind of like silver.
It's just maybe the lighting.
It just it reflects the like a mirror.
Yeah.
So it reflects the dark of space. That's
Yeah.
looks like that. I don't know, but that's I don't need information.
and it's in our hemisphere, right? Like it's in our atmosphere, not hemisphere. In our atmosphere. That means that it exists and it's visible through
Proper
through
means.
telescope on the polar
Yeah, polar
the
side.
north, right?
Wow.
So, it's still a mystery. What do you guys think?
Frank, you're the one that started this conversation. Let's see what you have to
I
think.
think there's a Gundam for me waiting there. Like
It's
a
calling
spaceship.
out. It's like,
Yeah.
Frank,
I
you're
need to get
needed.
there. No, I would think more that it's maybe it's like a reminiscence of something, maybe a spacecraft. But it says that it's been here 13,000 years, so could be some travelers, or something. Maybe another alien race and like a device to spy on us or whatever, what I mean? Could be. But according to Tesla, he communicated with it.
Yeah, just make sure it's not Elon Musk. It's Nicholas.
Yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, the real one.
Man with the worst Elden Ring build
the
ever.
OG.
Yeah.
All right. So my take on it is that this is a real artifact. I think it's still unknown what that artifact is, and I think one day it'll fall, and we'll find out.
Yeah, right. One
And
day.
hopefully it doesn't fall on us.
Hopefully. I personally think from the sounds of it, I want it to be like some random alien ship trying to communicate with us, or either maybe it is a piece of floating junk. But the fact that it communicated with one of us is it's really telling. I feel like
Well,
it
it's
could
not
be-
the first time because we've
Yeah.
also had the SOS signal in Arecibo, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Arecibo, yeah.
Yeah, so we had that happen.
so
it-
maybe I'm hoping maybe it's an extraterrestrial race trying to be like, hey,
Yeah, for
No,
Right.
it's not the SOS signal. It's called the WOW signal because
WOW
they wrote
signal.
WOW on the
Yeah.
on the signal paper.
For all of you that maybe don't know, in Arecibo, Puerto Rico, there was at the time was
The biggest satellite.
the biggest radio
Satellite.
radio transmitter satellite. It was like a huge antenna. It was in one of the James Bond movie, the Golden Eye movie. They filmed in that. There was in the movie they say it's Cuba, but it's Puerto Rico, and they used the big antenna as part of the Golden Eye satellite thing. So right now it's no more. It fell apart.
Hurricane.
The hurricane messed it up, but it was the biggest in the whole area for a while. Yeah.
So I'm gonna attach this to the moon because according to legend,
to legend.
according to the legend, right? There was secret Apollo missions that went to the dark side of the moon, and they found a ship, and they found a body in the ship.
Wow.
And there's supposedly, putting air quotes, supposedly video of this discovery has been circulating around webs.
The interwebs, the great divine.
So I think that the whole concept of a foreign object with the ability to communicate with, but again, it leads the question, right? We talk about this almost in every show episode on Sunday. Any civilization that's capable of being technologically more advanced than you will probably do harm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah.
You know, I want to shout out. You were saying something?
Oh no.
I want to shout out the United States of America because doing the moon landing hoax, even though it's funny when you see those videos, but you guys did a great job because compared to the one in India, and compared to the one in China,
Bollywood.
because supposedly China went to the moon in India, but when you see those videos, they're worst.
So I don't know if you saw the video, right?
Yeah.
They're doing a news report in India says that they're about to send astronauts to the sun. And then the guy goes, well, if you're not going to reach the sun because it's going to melt, then they go, we're going to do it at night. so that kind of like threw me off. But yeah.
Wow.
So that's it for Black Knight Satellite.
I was gonna say that it would be great to see it through a telescope. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to have to buy one and capture footage and share it with the world.
But I was gonna say something more and I forget. It was related to this. But it's gonna come back.
All right. So Black
But,
Knight Satellite, we'll
you
put
guys-
it on to be continued.
Yeah.
And then we're going to segue now to our third topic with Mr. Valentine and the
Yeah.
Dyatlov passes.
The Dyatlov Pass.
No, you have to speak like this.
I had to-
Dyatlov.
The Dyatlov Pass. So
They call him the Baba Yaga.
the Baba Yaga. So the Dyatlov Pass is an incident that took place in 1959. I believe it was, let's see, Soviet Russia? Soviet?
Yeah. Soviet Union.
The Soviet, yeah.
This is during the communism.
Yeah.
Glory days.
This was
The
almost
glory
the
days of the
glory.
nation.
This was almost 60 something years ago. A group of
Nine
nine?
hikers.
Was it 9 or was it 8? No, 9. It was 9. 9 hikers went on an expedition to a mountain, and it were 2 females and 7 men. Yeah, 2 females, 7 men. Their names were, I'm gonna butcher these names.
Wait, they're in Russian?
Ludmila, Dubinina, Yuri. Okay, I'm not pronouncing that. Rustem Slobodan.
You want me to read it?
Alec, you could read. You read the female
I
ones.
do really good Russian.
Alexander Kolotov. Semyon Zolotaryov, Yuri Doroshenko, Zehinda,
Krovanashenko,
Igor
Dyatlov.
Dyatlov, and one more, Nikolai Brignon. Really weird name, really crazy names to pronounce, but it's for the time. So they were all guided by Igor, and the mysterious part of this story comes later on. So as they're walking in this mountain and hiking, they notice that it is getting really severe weather, really heavy snow, like it's hard to see. So they set up camp. After that camp was set up, I'm going to assume all hell broke loose. And they disappeared. And their bodies were found with really weirdly, like, their parts missing that were like, this didn't make sense. Someone's eyes were missing, someone's tongue was cut out. Another one had a chunk of his hand missing. There was so much.
They actually ate their own hand.
Yeah.
You mean them?
One. So
one of them ate their own hand.
of them. But they
Wow.
did it as a way to test to see if they were actually like the hypothermia was getting to them. So they bit on it to see if they could feel it, but you know how that went. But it's such an interesting case because there's a scientific reason for the hypothermia, but there's not for all the other aspects of it. Like, how is one's eyes missing and tongue cut off? That's too premeditated. And the 3 other bodies were found in the river, and the rest were found
In the three bodies in that second, because I've read through it. Igor was part of that group.
Yes.
Now, the first issue was the tent.
Yes.
It almost looks like the tent, they opened it from the inside with a knife,
Wow.
but there was no sign of struggle. Right? The first 2 that were found, female bodies, right? They had, it almost looked like this was precision removed, right? Like it's not, it didn't look like
It looked premeditated. It looked like they were like,
it almost looked like like Jack the Ripper showed up and he did an operation and
Gotcha.
removed it so neatly that
Wow.
There
like,
was-
right?
Like a laser cut.
yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
And then with the other 3, they found fractures in the skull, fractures in the chest, but no sign of external force.
External-
Wow.
So that's what I want to get into, because a certain avalanche happened, or was said to happen. A scientist actually looked into it and explained it. In the mountain they were at, under certain altitudes and like slants, a certain avalanche would happen. So the avalanche and the skull fractures line up perfectly fine, because that is the same amount, like same type of injuries you'll find. But after that, you know what he said? All the other injuries, yeah, we don't know.
So I'm gonna disagree with you there, because historically no avalanche has ever happened in that area before or after the incident.
That's the thing.
And when you look at the tent, if any location would have been prone to, based on the maps and where the tent was at, if any location was prone to an avalanche, was the tent area, and all the skis that were facing up never went down, and there was no sign of the trees getting affected by an avalanche.
And then they separated into, I think, 3 theories. The Russian Yeti.
Right.
There was a Yeti. Another one just says straight up murder. I forgot the last one, but it had to do something with
The KGB.
the KGB. So turns out a few of them had radiation coming from them.
What?
Yeah. And a theory is that some of them were KGB agents that worked with radiation and were sent up there.
And here's another fun fact. Most of them were students of Europe's Polytechnic,
Yeah.
and they were studying engineering, and supposedly they were delivering radioactive material.
It's weird. Maybe
So-
it could be like a lead poisoning or like a
No,
plutonium.
it can't be, because again, everything that happened just it felt too premeditated.
However, you're right. They're right about the premeditated
It
part,
felt-
because everyone had journals and everyone had pictures but there was one guy whose journal was missing.
It was Igor. It was Igor Dyatlov.
Yeah, so,
His journal and everything was missing. Everyone else had journal entries and such, but when they found his body, they were gone. So it's a lot. And I think that's what makes it so interesting, because there was so much that happened in that one segment. It's too much. It's like, first you have the radioactivity, then you have the missing body parts, then you have the skull fractures, but no open or external wounds. It's really weird.
It is weird.
And I like to think there was something behind it. Like, I'm not saying it was nature calling down on them. I want to believe it was something.
Could be a predator.
Exactly.
Hunting their prey.
I want to talk about another incident that happened in Russia that no one talks about. It's called the Tunguska incident.
Heard of the-
Right?
Yeah.
And whenever I think of Dyatlov, I think about Tunguska. And I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it was a huge explosion that hasn't been described to this day, but it resulted in super radioactive material
Gotcha.
going through there. Then you also got Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, yeah.
Chernobyl was man-made because it had to do with controlling an environment that had radioactive waste. However, you can see the results of that.
They still have
But just bear in mind, there were 9 people and only 4 appeared to have radioactive material in their persons, right? In other words, on their clothing and stuff like that. The others had bizarre incidents. Now, the reason why I'm leaning towards the KGB stuff might be that there was a third party watching them.
Maybe they knew something that we're not supposed to
Right?
know.
Now, also note that area that was named after Igor Dyatlov, right, is that location was actually part of experiments for missile launches and radioactive material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So now you find the first 5 bodies within a span of a couple of days. You wait 3 months. And when you find the 4 bodies, they're under 10 feet of snow.
Wow.
Going out.
So I actually have a thing here. One of the theories I was talking about, the slab avalanche. That's what it was called. A slab avalanche, where a large block of ice slides down a slope, could have crushed part of the tent, injuring hikers and causing them to flee.
So we're gonna pause for a second because we're looking at the chat. And we're running out of time because we have to go into our TikTok live to discuss the same thing on TikTok.
I got Mr. Matt Meeks says Origins Audio Camera Shy. I got Coralie Sotero. Hey, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you all. And here's to another awesome year. Thank you. Coralie Sotero. Even Attacks on Titans stay inside the wall because there are things out there that does not understand. You're right. Max Meeks says demons. Coralie says I saw this story in Expedition. No, definitely crazy story. Yes, indeed. Matt Meeks, this channel will get big. My golf monitors watch what I watch. Good. Mac Meek poisoned. Mac Meek says the first and possibly only nuke. Yeah, could be. Thank you for the support, guys. Thank you for the comments. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So, let's go now into final thoughts, and then start getting ready for our TikTok live. For those of you who are listening in the channel, we're doing a TikTok live at 9:30. It's our very first one. You can join in there. We're just gonna kind of recap what we discussed. Keep it short and brief, but it's just our first attempt at trying to connect in a different platform.
So what you think about this? Is a hoax? Is real?
I think the Dyatlov Pass incident is, I think the victim is claimed by it. I think it's from something, not someone, something. And if it was done by someone, this person was very meticulous in what they did. And it's scary because it's like, what caused them to do the cut of the tongue, the eyes? Maybe it's a see no evil, speak no evil sort of concept going on.
Right.
But maybe they knew something that we're not supposed to know, and the military went after them.
That's my thoughts. I think
Or maybe a mob.
they knew too much, and that's the cutting of the tongue. That's a message right there. You know what I mean?
See no evil, speak no evil.
Maybe they were trying to, tell some secrets from the.
To me, I think Dyatlov ran out of vodka.
Vodka.
You know, yeah, vodka. It's not. It's you gotta roll the vodka. All right?
There you go.
So it's unfortunate, right? All jokes aside, I think that it led to a lot of mystery, and that's what keeps this case alive.
That's why I love it.
There's too many unexplained pieces that just don't fit well together. You know, there's some external person or entity behind it, perhaps a secret ops type thing involved with it, because these guys were
They were government officials.
They
right?
were in one of the most prestigious schools for technology and engineering. They all knew each other at some point, and it wasn't like, hey, I'm a hiker and I'm gonna be your guide. No, they knew this stuff.
And they were experienced too, so it makes it even crazier. They knew how to hike.
So that's the other thing. It wasn't their first time around the woods.
They're no spring chicken.
And by the way, Dyatlov Pass is not a treacherous spot to go and pass. So what do I think? I think it's not a hoax. It did happen.
It did
People
happen.
died.
Yeah, it happened.
Right. I just think that, you know what I think is gonna sound really stupid. I want it to remain a mystery.
Yeah. Of
I want
course.
to keep digging and not find something, because it just keeps me want to keep going.
Yeah, like maybe that was their plan. Confuse you.
Maybe they put too much in their vodka.
Maybe their vodka was laced with something.
So yeah, so that's what I think. So I think it's time for us to cut it short to
Skedaddle.
3908. So with that, I think that these conspiracy theories are really good for the show. I think if Max Meeks gives it the approval, I second it.
I third it.
All right. And so we'll look at more topics. For those of you who watch this later on, feel free to just put on the chat or send us a message, and tell us what you would like to hear on, and we'll dig in as much as we can, and we'll make them into discussion pieces. I think this is really cool. I mean, outside of what we do, we're doing more entertainment stuff in the future, which is going to be more like TV show based series and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really love this kind of content,
I like it.
right?
Like sitting down and talking.
Yeah,
It's
just-
big conversations.
So it flows really well. So that's what I think. Outside of that, we just want to say thank you to everyone. Happy birthday, Coral. Max, thank
happy
you so
birthday.
much
Happy
for
birthday.
participating as always. The other thing I want to mention is to my father, Ralph Fernandez. His father passed away, or grandpa passed away, and we just want to share our condolences. We love you, and we're here for you.
Yeah.
All right. So
Allá en Puerto Rico también.
right.
Jessica Ramos, donde esté, una buena amiga que estudió conmigo en la high school. Tremenda muchacha, que Dios la tenga en su gloria. Saludo a la familia y fortaleza.
And outside of that, just want to say thank you so much. J Rock, Frank Walls, and Mr. Valentine is signing out.
See you, peoples.
Bye bye. Take care, guys.
Peace out.